Yes, hello and welcome to On the Bench, Estuary TV's weekly sports show for Lincolnshire and East Yorkshire. Well, as always, we're reflecting on the weekend's results and dealing with some of the issues with our studio guests, who this week, I'm delighted to say, are Matt Dean from BBC Radio Humberside and our very own Tom Hardy. Gents, good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for joining us. Also on the show tonight, Matt Denson has been across the Humber to try something completely different. He went along for a training session with the Ultimate Spirit Elite cheerleading team in Hull. Meanwhile, Tom Reed will be here to answer the questions that you've been tweeting in A View from the Estuary. That's all to come. But first, let's round up the weekend's results in team talk. Well, in the Premier League, Steve Bruce claimed that Hull City gifted Stoke the victory at the Britannia Stadium on Saturday after a goal from Peter Odin-Wingate secured the points for the Potters. In League 2, Scunthorpe United extended their unbeaten run to 24 games, drawing 0-0 at home to Wycombe. This also saw manager Russ Wilcox break a 125-year record of 23 games without defeat for a newly appointed manager, some record. In the conference, Grimsby Town came away from Hereford with a 1-0 win thanks to Alex Rodman's excellent strike despite playing the last 20 minutes with 10 men. Meanwhile, North Ferriby United are back on top of the Conference North table after a 2-0 home win against Stalybridge Celtic, with Nathan Jarman and Anthony Wilson getting the goals. Elsewhere in the region, Cleethorpes Town remained top of their league after a 1-1 draw at Shore Lane Aquaforce, with Chris Funnell scoring his third goal in successive games. Luke Fanthorpe scored a hat-trick for Grimsby Borough to see off a brave fight by Louth Town as they won 3-2. Brigtown were trailing 3-0 at Newcastle Town with only 7 minutes left, but thanks to Jason Flint, Elliot Broughton and Daniel Buttle managed to turn the game on its head to draw 3-3. And Goole lost 1-0 at home to Sutton Coldfield Town thanks to a Stuart McNaught goal. Finally, in rugby, Market Raisin and Louth beat Ilkeston 47-18. Well, once again, thanks to you if you've sent us your results from this weekend. If you'd like your club featured in Team Talk, simply email us your result to onthebench@estuary.tv. Well, let's focus on the weekend now. Let's look at Grimsby Town first. Matt, valuable 3 points again on Saturday for Town.
Very much so. It's about momentum, though, I think, at this stage of the season for Grimsby. And I think if we cast our mind back over the last few months, they haven't managed to put back-to-back wins together since Boxing Day, since they beat Lincoln City at Sinsel Bank. So I think that they need to get a bit of momentum in their season now, heading into the home straight really towards the playoffs. But
how much character was shown on Saturday?
Yeah,
to play
very much so.
10 men?
I think Paul Hurst admits that it wasn't a great performance by his team, but it was an outstanding goal by Alex Rodman that won the game for the Mariners. But you're right, you have to go to games into games like the one at Hereford at the weekend and go to places like Edgar Street to get a victory. It's a challenging part of the season, I think, for Grimsby now, but they are managing to get wins here and there. But I do think that they need to get a bit of momentum now.
Tom, Hurst has called on his players to show the same fight and desire as Scott Kerr despite being sent off on Friday. Are they going to miss him at Wrexham?
I think definitely. I think Kerr's a key player to how Grimsby like to play. He dictates the midfield, he sets the tempo, he's good at passing and controlling the play, so I think he'll be a big miss in the Wrexham game.
How do you see them setting up without him?
I think they'll try and obviously put someone in there that'll do the same sort of role as Kerr does, and obviously they'll try and dictate the game against Wrexham. They're a good side, Wrexham. They're underperforming this year for whatever reason, but I think that Town will want to get the win and they'll look to go and get 3 points.
Putting you on the spot, what's your realistic assessment as to where the Town can finish?
I think they'll finish third or fourth.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. Matt, Scunthorpe continue their unbeaten run, but an injury to Sean McAllister, quite significant.
Yes, that's right. It looks like he's going to be out for the remaining few weeks of the season, which is a big blow because he is such an important player for the Iron. I think if you talk to any Scunthorpe fans, they'll tell you what an important role he's played in their success this season. So that is a big blow, I think, for Scunny. But they have got a decent enough squad. Hopefully they'll be able to cope with that.
And what about this record that's been broken?
Fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, although Russ Wilcox is sort of playing it down a bit, isn't he? I don't know whether you've heard any interviews with him on BBC Radio Humberside, but he's always talked about it's about the team, it's not about him. But still, I think it's a fantastic achievement to go that length of time unbeaten. And
what about this injury to Sean McAllister? What does it mean? There's word of Michael Collins returning.
Possibly, yeah. They've got the option of recalling him from AFC Wimbledon. They do have other players waiting in the wings. Matt Sparrow is one that maybe they could bring in there and play in there. He came off the bench at the weekend. So they have options, but undoubtedly the loss of McAllister is going to be felt, I think, by the team.
Let's talk Premier League. Hull City losing 1-0 at Stoke.
That's right. I was at the Britannia at the weekend. They put in a good shift, I think, by and large, but it was just that one error by Ahmed El Mohammadi in the first half to gift the goal to Peter Odom-Wingy. But Hull did have a lot of possession in the second half, but didn't really test the goalkeeper a lot. I think only twice in the game was Asmir Begovic called into action, so they'll be a bit disappointed that they didn't test him a bit more. They need that win that Steve Bruce is talking about to get them to the 36-point mark, just so people can breathe a bit easier, I think, really now.
We'll talk some more about that in a short while. Right, well, next up on the show, here's Tom Reed to answer your questions that you've been tweeting in. It's A View from the Estuary.
Thanks, Rob. Welcome to this week's edition of View from the Estuary. Do you think Cleethorpes Town will win the league? I think it's going to be a tough ask, actually, for Cleethorpes Town to win the league. They've played 38 games, they're on 79 points. Just behind them is Bottisford Town. They've played a game less with 77 points. So if they win that game in hand, they shoot to 80 points, leaving Cleethorpes Town second, then having to make up ground. Obviously, that leaves Bottisford Town, just ready to take the league. If they slip up, then Cleethorpes Town can obviously take advantage, but they've obviously got to win maximum points themselves. They've still got a lot of games left. They've got Selby, Clipston, Teversall, Appleby, Frodingham. They've got the local derby with Grimsby Borough. They don't unfortunately play Bottisford Town, so that's out of their hands with regards to that. But if they win every game from now until the end of the season, they do have a real good chance, because Bottisford Town then have to do the same. The pressure's on them. So it can be done, but it's out of their hands. But I wouldn't put it past them. They've played well this season. Can Lewis Hamilton maintain his current position in the Formula 1 Driver Championship? I think it'll be tough for the lad. Obviously, he finished in first place for this Grand Prix. The Australian Grand Prix was won by Rosberg, so there are good drivers out there. But having said that, there's brand new engines this season that none of the drivers are used to. So you've got to take that into consideration. Even Lewis Hamilton has not driven with that engine in his car before. Lewis Hamilton currently has 25 points after finishing first. Fernando Alonso on 24 points. You've got Jenson Button on 23 and Kevin Magnussen on 20 points. So there's some good drivers there in the top four already. So I think Lewis has to sort of maintain that sort of position for the rest of the season. It is still early days. I think there's another 20 Grand Prix yet until the end of the season. So there's plenty of time for twists and sort of things to go wrong as well, and things maybe to go in his favour with other drivers failing, as it is new engines in the cars. So it's early days, but I think he's capable of doing it as long as he gets to grips with his car and finishes in the top three. I think he can do it. Can Chelsea and Manchester United progress into the semi-finals of the Champions League? I'll start with Manchester United, as they're playing tonight against Bayern Munich. It's a very tough match. In fact, it's the hardest draw they could have sort of got out of that pack of teams. The current European champions, probably playing the best football in Europe right now. They absolutely destroyed Barcelona last year, 7-0 on aggregate. There's not many teams that can do that or can say they've done that. So they are a top team. So Manchester United will find it very difficult. And I have to say, over 2 legs, I think they will find it hard, and I don't think they'll progress. I think they'll give them a good game at home. Away from home, you expect Bayern to beat them at the Allianz Arena. Old Trafford, you might expect a draw, with Manchester United's season not going so great. So I don't think they'll get through. I think Bayern Munich will progress from this round. And when you look at Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain, I think Chelsea have more of a chance in their tie than Manchester United do. Although Paris Saint-Germain have got the money and they're buying in some big players, Chelsea have Mourinho in charge. He knows how to win this competition. He's done it before with Porto and Inter Milan. So he gets his tactics right on the night. So I think Chelsea can probably progress from this over 2 legs if they can draw away from home and get a good result at Stamford Bridge. I think they can do it. So Chelsea for me can. Manchester United I think will struggle in this round. Thank you once again for your questions this week. If you want to send one into the programme, you can do so on Twitter at AskEstuary, or you can now email the show as well on the bench at estuary.tv.
Thanks, Tom. And as he mentioned there, if you want to send in a tweet to Tom, simply send your message to at AskEstuary. We're going to take a quick break now, but we'll see you back in a few minutes. Welcome back to On the Bench. We're joined in the studio by BBC Radio Humberside's Matt Dean and our very own Tom Hardy. Tom, Let's talk about the Premier League title now, because it's getting very much towards the business end of the season, isn't it now? It's shaping up nicely. Has it ever been a more exciting end to the season? Can you remember?
Not for a lot. I mean, obviously you had the Aguero winning the Premier League a couple of seasons back for Man City, but I don't think that the variety of teams that we've got, the fact that Liverpool are in there as well, I think it makes it very interesting especially for the neutral fan. But I think even other football fans would quite like to see Liverpool win it, just to make it a little bit more different.
Who's your money on at this
Man
stage?
City. Man City. I still think the quality they've got in the squad is far superior to everyone else. They've got the strikers, which Chelsea haven't got, and I just think that they might edge it.
Matt, it's certainly been an interesting finish, as I say. What does it say about the quality of the Premier League, the fact that so many teams are in the frame at the moment?
Fiercely competitive, I think. I think that Chelsea are probably going to win it. That would be my view. I love Mourinho at the weekend. He's so transparent, isn't he, when he comes out after the game and he's saying, we're out the title race now. It's so obvious he's trying to take pressure off his own players, but I still think that they will manage to win the title in this instance.
Brendan Rodgers has always been playing it down, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, yeah.
But hasn't he managed Liverpool very well?
Fabulously.
Players
done
like
really well.
Steven Gerrard,
yeah.
34.
He's got the players at Liverpool playing as such a unit, I think, and I think collectively they are much stronger than they have been in recent seasons. So I think he deserves massive credit, and I think he's a very, very good manager. You have to look at what he's done there since he came in. He's really transformed the club.
Again, it's about games in hand for Manchester City. Is it better to have the points in the bag or the games in hand?
Points in the bag, I think, because I think it's nice to be able to have those points on the table and be able to think that we are in control of our own destiny, rather than having to think about, oh goodness me, we've still got to get the points, and looking at other people's results. That can be distracting, I would have thought.
I'm sure many wondered whether Suarez's discipline would hold throughout the season, but it's just been superb, hasn't it? Who's that down to?
Brendan Rodgers, I think, really. I think that when he had his problems and he had his long suspension, I thought that Liverpool, and I was of the opinion that they should get rid of him. I was thinking, well, maybe they should be sort of shipping him out and getting him off to another club. But credit to Brendan Rodgers, he's got him on the straight and narrow, and he's got him scoring bags and bags of goals, and that's aided their title push, hasn't it?
Let's talk about Hull City. You've been watching them this season, of course, very, very closely. How far up the table do we need to be looking for relegation
I think
contenders?
that, oh goodness me, I think that there'll be a few nervous clubs down there. I think that Hull should be thinking that they are capable of getting a top half finish, but 9 defeats in the last 13 Premier League games doesn't exactly fill you with confidence if you're a Hull City fan, I think, right now. But having said that, you look at the season as a whole, getting to an FA Cup semi-final, and they are still 14th in the table. Let's not dramatise this. I don't think we should be thinking that they're going to get sucked into it, because I think that they'll be all right.
How much will the FA Cup be playing on their minds now?
A little bit.
Time?
They've got a big game Saturday at home to Swansea City, and I think that the 2 defeats that have just gone at Stoke and West Ham will make 1 or 2 people a little bit nervous. But I think the big game on Saturday against Swansea City, if they can get all 3 points there, then that will just about make them home and host, I think.
We had this discussion about Wigan, didn't we, when they got to the cup final, when the cup went down. As far as Hull City fans are concerned, which do you think they'd prefer to have if they had to choose between the two?
It's funny, because when we talk about this on air, there have been people who've got in touch with our programme and said, actually, I'd quite like to win the FA Cup this season. I'm not too bothered about the Premier League. But I think if you did a straw poll, I think most people would like to stay in the Premier League. It's worth so much to the club, and the infrastructure as well. I mean, they've just put a lot of money into the academy and the facilities for the first team as well at Cottingham. So they are quite keen to kind of build on that, and they do need the money from the Premier League to do that.
Tom, what do fans remember more, a day out at Wembley winning the Cup, or the year they made the great escape and stayed in the Premier League?
Well, I think it depends. You look in the long term, I think the fans would probably rather stay up. The majority, there will be the fans that want the day out at Wembley and the FA Cup win, because obviously it'd be massive to the club. But I mean, getting relegated and having Europa League in the Championship, as Wigan have proven, isn't great.
Yeah, Matt, a quick word on the name change as well. Hull City, decision due on the 9th of April, I believe.
That's right.
Which way do you see this going?
I'd be staggered if the FA voted in favour of it. The membership committee have already recommended that the FA Council do reject the name change, so I'd be very, very surprised if they actually voted it through.
Which way do you see it going?
I see it just as that, really. I'd be very surprised if they became Hull Tigers after April the 9th.
OK, Matt, thanks so much for now. Well, next up on the programme, our very own, the other Matt Denson, here was invited across the Humber for a training session with the Ultimate Spirit Elite cheerleading team. Take a look at this to see how he got on.
got a phone call to say, come and join us over here in Hull at Ultimate Spirit Elite. Now they are a cheerleading team that has asked us to come along and have some fun with them tonight. Now they've lined up the ladies inside, which are part of the Platinum team, which is the top of the top, the best of the best. Ask to come and join us. So come inside, let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
I'm Matt, how you doing?
Hey, nice to meet you.
You're Rachel?
Yeah.
Now Rachel, what's that mean tonight, please?
Are you ready to do some cheerleading?
I think so. Are you ready to look after me?
I'll try, but I can't promise anything because they're pretty free as girls.
Okay, what are we doing tonight?
Mixture of like jumps, stunts, dancing, a bit of gymnastics as well. Put you through your paces with some throwing some people in the air.
Are you sure I can do it?
I think so.
Let's give it a go. Thank you. So you're the coach here, the head coach. How did you get involved in this?
I started at university. It's become really big since a lot of universities got American football teams. So I was eventually back in 2005 and got involved there. I went to Liverpool. So I was in the Liverpool Foxes. And that was my first taste of cheerleading. And it's just really addictive. Once you start doing it and you get the thrill of hitting stunts and doing gymnastics, you kind of can't stop.
So how many girls have you got?
We've got about 50 girls now. We go from 6 years to probably about 22, 23 in the team that are training now.
Do you have a website at all?
Yeah, it's ultimatespirit.com.
That's how they hold it, Ultimate Spirit Elite.
Yeah, and also on Facebook and Twitter.
Lovely, thank you very much. So I've taken Jess out for the routines. You can see the girls training behind. To speak to Jess about what her role is and what she does here. Jess, what do you do?
I coach the other senior team and the junior team, and I coach gymnastics as well.
Okay, so how many nights a week?
I do a Sunday morning, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and I coach gymnastics on a Thursday and Friday.
Are you mad?
A little bit.
So tell me, what do you get out of it? Do you enjoy it? What do you do? What's the whole point of this?
I love it. It's like we've got our own little family here, so everyone gets on. Like these are the guys that I see outside and cheer as well. And it's just nice that everyone can accomplish something for everyone.
Ultimate Spirit Elite. Fantastic. Cheerleading is more than pom-poms. There are no pom-poms. It's all about fun, agility and enjoying yourself. These ladies here tonight, the Platinum Group, have taught me a lot. I tell you what, get yourselves down. Ladies, thank you for your time.
Thanks for that, Matt. It certainly looked as though he was enjoying himself there. Well, finally on the programme, let's quickly look ahead to the week ahead. A big game for Grimsby Town, as we've heard, at Wrexham, looking to take advantage of those games in hand. Kick-off there is at 7:45. On Saturday, North Ferriby United are at home to Stockport. Hull City welcome Swansea, as we've heard, and Scunthorpe United are away at Torquay. Now, for the Superbike enthusiasts out there, get yourselves along to Immingham Civic Centre on Friday the 11th of April for a special event. Some of the region's best riders will be there, including Craig Neave, who you may recall appeared on the show a few weeks back. Admission is by ticket only, and they're available from the County Hotel in Immingham, Rob Speed, Chris Gunter and Cycle Mode for just £10. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks very much again to our guests, Matt Dean and also Tom Hardy. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
And also thanks to the Ultimate Spirit Elite cheerleading team for having Matt along. Of course, we'll be back again next week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.